Hey you guys, it's Peter and welcome to my channel, Peter's Movie Reviews. And today I want to talk about all 10 of the Saw movies. Yes, all 10, including Spiral. I want to talk about all 10 of the Saw movies. I just finished the 10th one last night. I honestly cannot believe I made it through all 10 of these Saw movies. Okay, so let me give you a little history lesson. Every year on one of my other channels, I pick a horror movie franchise to watch during the month of October. I love Halloween. Halloween is my favorite holiday of life. I absolutely love it. I love horror movies. I've seen most of the major horror movie franchises and so many independent horror movies. I love horror movies. I absolutely love horror movies. I love going to horror movie conventions like Horror Hound Weekend and things like that. I love horror movies. I always have ever since I was growing up. Okay, so last year on my Peter Does Stuff channel, I did all of the Halloween movies, the Halloween franchises, Michael Myers. That is my favorite horror movie franchise of life, and probably, honestly, my favorite movie franchise of life is the Halloween movies. And so I love those movies so much. I kind of wish I would have done them again this year. I think next year I will probably go and revisit the Halloween movies. Last year I watched the Rob Zombie ones and all of them. And it was so much fun. I watched Halloween 3. I fell in love with Halloween 3 again last year. I had kind of forgotten how it's so camp, but so good. So, and then we had also watched, leading up to Friday the 13th last year, I think it was last year, we watched all the Friday the 13th movies, which I had never watched all the Friday the 13th movies. And we watched the one where Jason goes to outer space. We watched all of them last year. I love to watch an entire franchise of film series because then I feel like you've seen everything and I just love to talk about movies, obviously. And so this year I started this channel just recently called Peter's Movie Reviews. And I thought, okay, I'm going to bring my horror movie fest over to this channel. And then every year going forward, I will pick in the month of October over here, a horror movie franchise to watch. All right, so I had several horror movie franchises that I was going to pick for this year. I won't tell you which ones because I might use them for next year or we might do it in February. Who knows? But anyway, so I had always wanted to watch all the Saw movies. I had this kind of memory of seeing, I thought I had seen more of them than I had. I think I've only ever really in the past seen the first one. I thought I had seen so many of them. I thought I had at least seen like 3 or 4 of them. None of them other than the first one did I remember. And the first one came out 21 years ago. I believe it came out in 2004. So I decided that we were going to watch the Saw movies. And there's 10 movies in this. There's actually 9 in the Saw franchise. And then Spiral is, to be honest with you, and like I will say this, I do not know as much about the Saw franchise at all like I do about the Halloween franchise. Like, the Halloween franchise, I know all the timelines. I know, like, how it goes from, like, Halloween 1, 2, and then it skips forward. I know the different timelines of Halloween. I know the different directors. I know, like, you know, like, how people look at Rob Zombie. His films are completely different, and that H2O doesn't fit into it, and 4, 5, and 6 aren't part of this. Okay, I understand all that with Halloween. With Saw, I do not. And I will, admittedly, I am ignorant on the franchise of Saw, okay? So I literally just watch the movies. Which, in all honesty, I think that anybody should be able to do that. I think that anybody should be able to just watch the movies and enjoy them and not have to truly understand the background story of production and directors and all that stuff to really just enjoy a movie. You know, I think if you look back when people just paid their 25 cents way back in the day to go to a movie theater, I mean, way back in the day, like when my mom and dad were growing up, it wasn't like they didn't know all the history of it. And I think we've gotten more into that today. And I love talking about that stuff. But I also think that you should be able just to watch a movie franchise and enjoy it. So I was like, okay. So admittedly, I do not know a lot about the Saw franchise. I know that like the first one and like the last one or somewhere in between were like created by the same person. Anyway, the director and has gone on to do like the Conjuring series and Insidious and things like that. So I do know a little bit about all that, but I'm just going to talk about, I'm not going to talk about the director and all that kind of stuff. I'm just going to talk about my films and the films and my reaction to it. I've already done over here a video of Saw, the original, Saw 1, and my reaction rewatching it. I've done a video of talking about Saw 2 and 3. I was actually today going to make a video and I was going to rank them in order of which one I think is like from worst to best. It's really a hard franchise to do that with. It's really, really hard. Like, for Halloween, I love the original. But then there are elements of each one, like Halloween 2, I've watched like twice this year already, and The Hospital and stuff like that. And I love it so much. But then, like, the last one, I didn't love, and Halloween Kills. Anyway, so it's hard. Like, the one where they're in the house, it's like the reality show. I hate that one. That would be the worst. But like H2O, I love the beginning of it. So for me, it's hard to rank these, especially with Saw, because the Saw story is like, collectively, when you watch all 10 of them together, like, you have to kind of watch all 10 of them for them to make sense, and then they still kind of don't make sense. So I'm just going to kind of talk about my reaction to the movies and what I thought about it. I got done with the third one, and I was talking on one of my other channels. I have a daily vlog called Peter Vlogs, where I just sit on my front porch every day and I talk. And I was talking over there, I think it was after I was done with the third one. I was like, maybe I talked about it in my review over here too. I was like, I do not know that I am going to be able to finish these movies. Like, I'm just really not enjoying them. I'm very confused about what's going on. They're just not super enjoyable to me. So I didn't even know if I was going to finish them, okay? But when I start a project, I sometimes don't finish, a lot of times I don't finish projects, but I like to finish projects if I'm going to start it. And I wanted to finish this because I wanted to be able to say, I've watched all the Saw movies and I could talk about them. So I'm kind of, to be honest with you, I'm kind of surprised that I did finish all of them. And I'll also tell you that I'm surprised by the ones that I enjoyed the most. So I will say this. The first Saw stands the test of time, okay? I think if you just watched Saw 1 today and walked away and didn't watch the rest of the franchise, I think that it stands the test of time. I think it's a fantastic horror movie. These movies, I think, are, other than, I mean, yes, I understand why they're considered horror movies because of, like, the contraptions, the kill machines that they have to get through the games and things like that. And they become gorier as they go on. I think that was one of my issues. I'm not somebody that loves heavy gore in horror movies. I'm more of somebody that likes just, like, the jump scares and things like that. As you go on, the contraptions that Jigsaw builds or whoever builds in that movie, they become a little bit more elaborate. And I know that people really, really enjoy that. For me, I don't really care about that, in all honesty. It's more about the background story that's interesting to me. So if you were going to watch the first one and just walk away from it, I think you would be very happy with the Saw franchise. And I think that's why I had kind of this, I don't know, this reminiscence about loving the Saw franchise, because I had really just seen the first one. When you start watching more and more of them, they get very, very confusing, okay? So just to go into this and tell you, the first one is probably my absolute favorite. But I will tell you that a very, very close second is Spiral, which is, somebody said it's like a spin-off of this, and I don't know, like, where it fits in the franchise as far as directors and all that kind of stuff, but I thought it was fantastically done. Samuel L. Jackson has done it. It was really the only one that I couldn't stop watching. The rest of them, I paused a lot. Some of them I would watch half one day, half the next day. I binge watched the hell out of them this weekend. I mean, this weekend, I watched, hold on, I've got my notes right here, because I was taking notes. I was going to do reactions to each of them, but I thought, screw it, we're just going to put it all in one video. This weekend, I watched 4 through 10 this weekend, and Spiral was the only one that I really, really enjoyed the most out of, even the first one, was probably the one that I enjoyed the most. So this is kind of the storyline, okay? Like, if you haven't watched the Saw movies and you want to go back and you want to watch all of them, I don't want to spoil it for you, but I'm going to break it all down for you in a second, okay? So you might want to stop watching it here. I don't know that I would recommend watching all 10 movies. I didn't find it super enjoyable, if you want to know the truth. Like, I didn't find myself really that excited to watch them, except for Spiral. I was very, very excited to watch Saw 10, the last one, and apparently there was Saw 11 that it was going to be in production because Saw 10 did so well because it was the scariest of it. Was it, though? I thought Saw 10 was an interesting storyline, but I don't know. It was like John Kramer, who was Jigsaw, the original Jigsaw, and Amanda, who I love, Shawnee Smith, but, like, in all honesty, the original movie came out in 2004. It's 2025, and Saw 10 is supposed to happen between Saw 1 and Saw 2. they act completely different. They look completely different. It doesn't, I love the nostalgia factor of bringing both of them back, but it just didn't, I don't know, it just didn't work for me for some reason. Especially like, and I love Shawnee Smith. I absolutely love her. I've said that she's one of my favorite, like I said in a video, like D-list actresses, and people are like, oh, I gotta, I mean, like I said, she's not winning Oscars, but I love her so much. But she's a completely different Amanda in Saw. It's not just that 20 years have gone by. She's a completely different Amanda in Saw 10 than she is in Saw 1. And I thought she was, so what I thought about the series, okay, going into it, I thought that John Kramer, who plays the original, Tobin Hall is what is his name, that he is like in every Saw. And I thought Amanda, because I looked it up, who's played by Shawnee Smith, I thought she was in all of them too. That's not how it goes, okay? So the storyline is this, right? I don't even know that I really understand it. Okay. John Kramer, who is Jigsaw, all right, was married to this woman named Jill, okay? Jill, who's just basically snooty and rude, okay? Jill and John get divorced, okay? And then John gets diagnosed. I think they get divorced. They fall out of love. Anyway, but he just loved her forever. And then John gets diagnosed with cancer, okay? But his insurance won't pay for these, what do you call them, experimental treatments that he wants to get for his cancer, okay? So then he ends up dying, not because of cancer, but because of this guy that kills him in one of the Saw movies, the husband of the doctor that tries to save his brain because he's got brain cancer, tries to save him, and then the husband, he says, you can either forgive me or you can kill me, ends up killing him. That's how John Kramer dies, okay? But then between Saw 1 and Saw 2, which is actually Saw 10, is when John Kramer goes to Mexico for this experimental brain cancer surgery by this woman that's actually scamming him, okay, out of tons of, and all these other people out of millions of dollars. That's Saw 10, okay? So really what all the Saw movies are about is about his love for his ex-wife, Jill, and his resentment and anger at the insurance company and all the other people that have done him wrong. And so he's trying to teach a lesson to all these people. So this is what really happened, okay? When you watch Saw 1 doesn't really, like, the two people in the room, it's like, I'm going to teach you a lesson through life. So if you've never watched the Saw movies before, John Kramer, Jigsaw, stands behind, I don't kill anybody. He always says, I don't kill anybody. He gives them the option. You can finish the game and win the game and go free, but you're probably going to lose, you know, an ear at best, an arm, your nose, something, or you can die. It's your choice, but I'm not killing you. That's the whole idea behind Saw. But when the first one starts, it's two guys in a room, okay? And the two guys are like, you don't really know their background story and all this kind of stuff. But it's not really that connected to John Kramer in the first one. Because the first one, I believe, was just supposed to be a standalone. I don't think that they ever knew that there was going to be 9 more that were going to follow this. Okay? So at the end of Saw 1, the doctor who is in the room, okay, he is like, he cuts off his foot and then he gets away. You don't ever know what happens to him. Okay? Later down the road, hold on, I have it in my notes down here. Saw 7. So this is the other thing that doesn't make sense is that, so there's this detective named Hoffman, okay? When Amanda dies, Amanda and Hoffman, this Detective Hoffman, are both working for Jigsaw at the same time, okay? Jigsaw hires Hoffman because he doesn't think that, do you understand how confusing these movies are? Okay, he doesn't think that, like, Amanda is gonna, like, really be up to par with, like, being his assistant. So he hires his detective, or he gets his detective to work for him as well, okay? And Hoffman's like, Amanda's gonna let you down. And he's like, we'll see, okay? Because he really believes in Amanda. But then Hoffman ends up screwing over Jill, his ex-wife, okay? And so he had told the original, so they bring the guy back. Which one is this? This is Saw, hold on a second. This is Saw 7, the final Saw, which it wasn't. At the very end, he brings back a doctor from that Carrie guy actor from Saw 1 who he's like kept on retainer, not really, this whole time and said, if anything happens to my wife, Jill, take care of it immediately. And then he kills Hoffman. But Hoffman also makes a cameo in Saw 10. Listen, they try to act like Saw 10 happened between Saw 1 and Saw 2, okay? I'm trying to say this nicely. It's been 20 years in real time, okay? They don't look the same, all right? Although I did kind of love Shawnee Smith's wig in Saw 10. She had this wig on. Because it was supposed to be her hair in Saw 1 and Saw 2, but I did kind of love it. So really what it's about is, it's retribution. The whole thing that's so strange about it when you sit back and you watch it is, and what kind of doesn't really work about it, is that John Kramer, who plays Jigsaw, the original Jigsaw, right? Because then it's all these other people that come in, like Hoffman the detective and Shawnee Smith. It's all these other people. Okay. What really doesn't work about it is that, the Spiral is a completely different story. It's like a copycat, kind of. And then John Kramer comes back at one point, you think, it's 10 years later, but it's not really him. And one of these movies, there's like a killing. Somebody said Times Square. I don't know if it was Times Square, but it's like these two guys that like have been fighting over this woman, and then she gets killed by like this chainsaw because they're pulling back and forth on each other. And it happens with like hundreds of people watching through this like glass cube outside, and there's no mention of it later in the movie. Doesn't even make sense. Okay. But what's so weird about that, when you watch them as quickly as I did in order, what you realize is this whole thing, okay, is about the fact that all these people promised John Kramer things and didn't fulfill it, okay? From the doctor who, like, misdiagnosed his labs, to the person that cheated him out of money for the experimental surgery, to the insurance guy that won't approve his experimental treatments for cancer. It's all linked to all of that and his protection for his love over his ex, Jill. It's all about that. But the whole idea of Saw is forgiveness, not vengeance. So it doesn't really work. It doesn't really work. I don't really know how to explain it any better than that, you know? Were there moments of the movies that I absolutely loved? I mean, yeah, there were moments, but I kind of even stopped taking notes. Like on Saw 8, it's called Jigsaw. I just wrote Jigsaw comes back after 10 years, presumed dead. And then Spiral, I didn't take any notes at all because that was the only one that I was so into. I was so into it. You know, about this cop dad and his son, and they're real angry. And then there's like this copycat guy and the copycat guy is, you know, the reason why is because the cop sees his son, or the son sees his dad, who was an informant, shot by, anyway, it just, like, that's why that one is supposedly separate. But in all honesty, I thought it made more sense and worked better than the rest of the Saw movies. I did. And, like, even looking back on them now, this is the problem with it, right? If they had just stopped with the first one, and I know that so many people were asking for them and stuff like that, but if they had just stopped with the first one, it would have, like, I mean, it still is going down in history, but it's almost kind of like they killed it. Like, I wrote on here one of the better ones. So Saw 4 is the one where Jigsaw dies, and then his wife is questioned, and it's about, so, okay, that one's where, like, the whole storyline with Jill starts, his ex. And what happened was that he was waiting outside for his wife, and she worked in this health clinic. And so she was locking up, and at the last minute, this guy comes in, and he's like, give me the drugs. And so then he hits the door open. Well, she's pregnant, and so she loses her baby because of the guy that John Kramer should have been protecting her from, but he didn't know because he was just waiting in the car. What you find out later was that Amanda, Shawnee Smith, is the one that told the guy to go get the drugs from the health clinic to begin with. So that's how Shawnee Smith fits into all this. So you have to kind of, like, if you don't just stop at one, you have to kind of watch all of them to make sense of all of it. Like, all of it. But by the time you get to the 10th one, you kind of have it figured out. Like, at the end of the 10th one, like, there's this kid involved in it. Like, as soon as they entered the kid, I already knew, like, you know how the Saw movies end. John Kramer always wins. So it's like Michael Myers, right? So when you get to the end of the Saw 10, it's like, you know the kid's not in danger. And I also knew that he was going to be given all the money. And I was like, so even Saw 10 for me, I don't know. Anyway, I made it through, baby. I made it through. I watched all the Saw movies. I could go on for hours talking about these movies. I got so many notes on here. Listen, I got notes about it. The fourth one ties back to the end of the third one. Oh, and the fourth one, you find out Donnie Wahlberg finally dies. He's got long hair. He's hanging from this thing. And then you talk about the detective. That's where Hoffman enters. He's the detective that was helping Jigsaw. Anyway, now I should say, let the games begin. Anyway, game over. And with that, I'll say game over. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.